Hello and welcome to Moneylife News and Views. This week we are going to discuss the markets. Well, not exactly the markets, but rather the depressed state of mind of investors. From a high of 40,300, which the Sensex had struck sometime in early June, the index has lost some 2,500 points very quickly, most of it all after the union budget. The immediate reason, of course, of this huge decline is of course the budget measures. Last year's the big blow was taxes on long-term capital gains for shares. This year there's a whole host of things. Tax on dividends, tax on buyback, plans to cut promoter stake to 65%, that will increase the supply of shares, and a tax increase of 3% for individuals with an annual income between 2 to 5 crore and 7% for those earning more than 5 crore. Now this is going to affect not just the rich Indians, but as well the foreign portfolio investors who invest in India through the the trust route. Politicians and officials, government officials, of course, are calling this a very small sacrifice for the sake of the poor. And why wouldn't they? They are, after all, living very comfortably off the state exchequer, and they have no problems in lecturing us. But such lectures are not going down well. Just spend a few minutes in social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, and you hear constant bickering about this government's policies. Now, every government, of course, plays to the gallery and tries to extort more money from the rich because they want to show that they are with the poor. This is all politics, and it's the same all over the world. But timing matters. Right now, we are faced with economic slowdown, no jobs growth, no investment, and huge increase in taxes for the last several years to fund the government's own wasteful spending, which we can see all around us. Now, I have a slightly different take in all this. While the market participants may have legitimate reasons for feeling miffed today, it is perhaps because they were living in a dream world all these years. Mr. Narendra Modi has enjoyed unstinted support, especially from the business, financing and investing community. For 5 years, fund managers and analysts and businessmen were unanimous in believing every flaky projection, every flaky promise of change. They have swallowed every piece of fudge data, such as huge so-called gains from direct benefits transfer, which is all cooked up, and believe their own projected scenarios of growth. Interestingly, even though they are from the markets and ought to believe in a completely efficiency-based different system of governance, they have cheered every socialistic move of this government as a step towards New India, when these should have reminded them of the earlier extortive regimes. It didn't strike them as odd that a regime that painted everything about the previous Congress governments as black would only continue with the same schemes and same ideas, and not just that, but expand these things manifold. For them, demonetization was a game changer, not a huge disruption of the economy. Bank recapitalization with no preconditions was a necessary step, not more money down the drain. Most importantly, they have supported every punitive and coercive move of the government as a necessary building block for a transparent and clean India. Whether it's compulsory Aadhaar for babies, arrest without first information report under the goods and services tax, tax raids without the need to state the reasons, or the argument that citizens have no right to privacy, they only detected strong intent and commitment to cleanse India in all of these coercive actions. Their faith prevented them from seeing that a government that wants to cleanse the system is also slowly destroying the most important transparency tool, which is the Right to Information Act. And those false beliefs now lie shattered. Just listen to this. The government has failed to protect citizens and business from a tax system that has run amok with a broken assessment system and a broken appeal system. No major country has both of these broken. Tax officials seem to think that everybody is a cheat or evaders and themselves as vigilantes. We have filed returns in over 30 countries, but no country treats taxpayers as badly as India does. No, this is not a rant of someone who is opposed to the regime. This is from Mr. Mohandas Pai, former CFO of Infosys and an eager evangelist of the government. He has cheered every single move of this government in the past. I've always wondered, what was the basis for the fond hopes of the businessmen, analysts, fund managers, and so on? After all, this is one of the most secretive regimes we have ever seen. We know very little about how this government thinks and acts. What are its objectives or the roadmap it wishes to follow after winning massive and successive mandates for a change? This government doesn't leak, which is perhaps a good thing, but then the election manifesto is just a piece of paper. Official data is massaged to make the government look good. There are hardly any white papers you can go by, and all political pronouncements are aimed at the gallery. There is even a gag order on retired officials from speaking out. If the market players and businessmen had paid attention to all of these things in the past, their fate would have cracked long ago. On the positive side, we have a decline in crony capitalism and some serious efforts for the first time in the last 30-40 years to recover bad loans from defaulting businessmen. But on the negative side, we have suffered an increase in Congress's brand of socialism. There's much more coercion, bans, tax terrorism, arrogance of the officials and politicians alike, and continued decline of institutions, whether the courts, the CBI, or the regulators. On balance, this is not a recipe for a strong growth or a secular bull market. Now, if you believed otherwise, well, it was false belief, and we are now just waking up to the reality. Thanks for watching.